So let us start today with cloze test. Understand what a cloze test is and what kind of questions appear in this. We will do several practice questions also on cloze test. The images used, if any, on our slide deck are for education purpose only. If you are owner of any of these images, please let us know. We'll be very happy to remove them. So what we will discuss in today's session, we will have an introduction to what is cloze test. We will look at structure of cloze test. We will look at concept of cloze test. Then we will suggest us approach that we can use for cloze test. We will look at 8 practice tests of cloze test. So we will go through these sets and understand how cloze tests actually work. There will be total of 8 sets and each one will contain 5 questions. So we will look at each one of them in detail. So let us look at cloze test. A cloze test is a language assessment or comprehension exercise where words are removed. This is done often systematically from a passage or text, and the reader is required to fill in the blanks with appropriate words. So if we have a long sentence and in that certain words are removed, for example, if I remove the word assessment and give you 4 choices that you have to fill in one of these 4 choices instead of assessment, then it will become a cloze test. So this is what cloze tests are. The purpose, why do we do this? The purpose is to evaluate the understanding of context. So if the word is present in a certain place, it is present because it is in a certain context. So this context is clear with additional words on the side of it. So we use context to evaluate our understanding of concept. Of context, it is very easy to use cloze test. Similarly, grammar, vocabulary, and overall comprehension skills of the test are actually tested through cloze test. So many exams use this method for language learning, education, and assessment. So what do we use cloze test for? As we said, we can also use it for reading comprehension. We can use it for vocabulary knowledge. We can use it for contextual usage. We can use it for grammatical skills and also for versatility, where we may promote higher order thinking through cloze test. So what is structure of a cloze test? In a cloze test, a paragraph may be given, and in this paragraph, there are a series of blanks. So number of blanks can vary, and the missing words are usually selected in a way that challenges our knowledge of vocabulary, grammar rules, and context-based comprehension. For example, if we have words like Rama, something, Ravana, so then the options are given to us, and instead of something, we have to substitute a word. Then this particular sentence may be part of a cloze test. But typically in a cloze test, it will not be just one line. It will typically be a passage or paragraph, and there will be not just one blank, but a series of blanks. So let us look at this concept in more detail. So there are 12 main concepts of cloze test. Number 1 is vocabulary, where our understanding of words and their meaning is tested. We need to choose the appropriate words that fit the context and the meaning of the passage. So if the passage is given to us, then there are many words which are given as a choice to us. We will have to choose which particular word best suits the meaning. And that is done through vocabulary. Our understanding of vocabulary is tested through cloze test. Another way may be we may encounter some words with similar or opposite meanings, and we may have to select the correct word which maintains the passage's coherence. So the whole passage should make sense, and in order to do that, we may have to choose one of several antonyms or synonyms that are given to us, and therefore this is another concept that can be tested with cloze test. Third thing which can be tested is grammar rules. Cloze test will typically assess our knowledge of English grammar. This means knowledge of verb tenses, knowledge of articles, knowledge of prepositions, knowledge of pronouns, and conjunctions. So correct usage of grammar rules is crucial for filling in the blanks accurately. So once we know these grammar rules, then we can apply our knowledge of English grammar to make the right choice for the missing words in cloze test. It will also test our overall understanding of the passage, because understanding the context of the passage will help us choose or select the words that fit in that missing place, the blank space, logically and coherently. This whole paragraph should actually make sense, and therefore the missing words will help clear that context. Comprehending the theme and purpose of the passage is essential so that right word can be chosen. Fifth out of 12 concepts of cloze test is a cloze test may require us to make logical inferences based on context to fill in the blanks correctly. So once we understand the logical inference, then we can actually choose the right word to fill in. Next is collocations. So sometimes we may encounter collocations. These are words that frequently occur together. So there may be words like as far as. So these words typically occur together, and therefore we may need to select the right combination of words to ensure their fluency and accuracy. So the collocation words is also tested through cloze test. Many times we encounter phrasal verbs and idioms. Cloze test will also include some phrasal verbs and some idiomatic expressions. They test our familiarity with these language elements. Eighth is determiners and quantifiers. Sometimes we need to use appropriate determiners and qualifiers to complete the passage correctly. This is also tested through cloze test. Next, we have a sentence structure. We must ensure that selected words fit the sentence structure and maintain the coherence of the package. 10th is consistency and coherence. Whenever you are choosing the words to fit into the paragraph, the missing words, then you have to select the words which create a consistent and coherent flow of ideas. Ideas are linked to each other. So if the words in a paragraph may be something like Rama dash Ravana, it led to his victory. So it is clear that Rama did something to Ravana which led to his victory. So the right choice here may be defeated. So there is a consistency in the two sentences and coherence in the two sentences. So there is a constant idea, a flow of idea which was communicated through these two sentences, and therefore we need to maintain this consistency and coherent flow of ideas throughout the passage. Next is paragraph understanding. Cloze test will often test passages with multiple interconnected sentences. So they require us to understand the overall paragraph structure in order to substitute the right words. Reading comprehension skills. The effective reading comprehension skills are actually crucial for understanding the passage's context and grasping the author's intended meaning. Otherwise, we may not be able to substitute the right words. So what is our approach to cloze test? Our recommended approach is that in case you want to perform well in cloze test, you must follow these 5 steps. Number 1, read the entire passage once to understand the context and get an overview of the content. Once you do that, then you understand to a large degree what topic is being discussed and what particular words may potentially fit into those missing places. Then, number 2, we focus on surrounding sentences and the theme of the passage to deduce the appropriate word choices. Once we understand the sentence, we will look at the surrounding sentences and understand which particular word choice may be better. A single sentence may allow us to choose multiple values, but when these sentences are seen in a context, they are together, then we will be able to better understand which particular word fits better. Another approach may be to eliminate obviously incorrect options. This will narrow down the choices. Many times our approach is to solve the question correctly and quickly. In order to do that, to solve it faster, we may actually remove the incorrect choices, and therefore only with the correct choices, which may be fewer in number, we may actually be able to choose the right answer. Fourth is to observe the grammar patterns used in the passage and select the most suitable word for each blank. Fifth is to ensure that the selected words fit contextually and maintain the coherence of the passage. So let us look at some practice questions and understand this concept. We will apply these principles and see how you can solve these questions better. So the first question is part of a test of a set, and this set is what we are discussing here. Sentences are 4 here, and let us read the paragraph. Auctions are public dash of goods conducted by an dash auctioneer. He encourages buyers to dash higher prices and finally names the dash bidder as the buyer of the goods. This is called knocking down the goods, for when the bidding ends, the auctioneer dash a small hammer on the table in front of him. So there is an auctioneer. He is holding a public something of goods, and it is done by something which is preceded by an. So this particular word, which is in presence of two, must be a vowel. He encourages buyers to dash probably higher prices. So we have to fill in these dashes. For now, our focus is on the first missing blank. We will fill the missing other blanks later. Auctions are public dash of goods. So what should come here? Is it sale? Is it marketing? Is it promotion? Or is it viewing? Now we know that when an auctioneer is typically auctioning, say, a house to a set of bidders, then he will actually try to ask the people what they are bidding for it. It is not marketing, because marketing is a systematic activity. It is not promotion, because promotion is like advertising. It is neither is it viewing. Although viewing is a part of auction, sale is actually a better word. So let us look at the solution in more detail. So auctions are public sale of goods conducted by an something. So sale, this term refers to the act of selling goods. It fits in perfectly because auctions are essentially public sales where goods are sold to the highest bidder. Marketing is not the true answer because marketing involves promoting and selling product or services. These include market research and advertising. It is not directly related to process of conducting an auction. Promotion. Promotion involves activities to increase awareness and sales of products and services. While it is related to selling, it is relevant to selling, it does not specifically describe the auction process where the bids are placed. Viewing. Viewing refers to inspecting or looking at goods before a sale. It is part of the auction process but does not describe the auction itself, where bids are made and a sale occurs. So out of 4 choices, sale, marketing, promotion and viewing, the best option is sale. So we already know that there is a word sale which is occurring here in the first place. This helps us in looking at and figuring out the next word. So auctions are public sale of goods conducted by an something auctioneer. Because it is an, it means that this must have been a vowel. So which of these words begin with a vowel? All 4 of them begin with A. A is a vowel. So this particular hint does not help us in finding the right answer. But we have to find it in the context then. Auctions are public sale of goods conducted by an dash auctioneer. Is it authoritative? Is it allowed? Is it authentic? Or is it approved? So you can try to solve it and then we will look at the answer. Let us look at the answer now. Auctions are public sale of goods conducted by an approved auctioneer. Why approved? Because this adjective means somebody who's officially accepted or sanctioned. It fits within the context of an auctioneer. If we had used the word authoritative, it would have been wrong. Why? because he is not appointed by authority to conduct the auction. It means that somebody having authority or being an official. It does not overall fit into the context of auctioneer, a typical auctioneer. There may be some auctioneers who may be appointed authoritatively, but approved is a better word here between the two. Allowed is something which permits or permit by rules. It again does not fit in to the context of an auctioneer, because auctioneer is not allowed in a way to, he is allowed to actually conduct the auction, but out of these four options, approved is a better one, because allowed means that he is just allowed to take an auction, but it can be anybody who can be allowed to take an auction. But because we are saying it is conducted by a dash auctioneer, we want to say he's an approved auctioneer. Similarly, authentic. This adjective means genuine or real, and it is not suitable in the context of describing an auctioneer here. So we have filled in the two words now. We know the first word we have filled in is sale, and the second word we have filled in is approved. Let us look at other words in turn given this information. He encourages buyers to dash higher prices and finally names the dash. So which particular word will fit in here? Is it bid? Is it buy? Is it get? Or is it bargain? Which one of four choices, A, B, C, or D, is the correct one? Please try to answer. And then we will look at the correct answer. So we already know the first two words. We are focused on third word. There were several choices. The best option is actually bid. Let us look at why. So he encourages buyers to bid higher prices. Bid will be to offer a specific price for an item at an auction. This fits the context of the sentence where we are offering, asking people to offer higher prices, and therefore bidding is done. He encourages buyers to buy doesn't fit in because it seems grammatically incorrect. Buy will require buy at higher prices, but that is not an option. Only the word buy is given. Therefore, it doesn't fit in. Get. He encourages buyers to get higher prices. No, he doesn't. Buyers don't get a higher price. Actually, the seller ends up getting the advantage of higher price. So, get is typically used to obtain something. So, it does not match the context of offering a price. Similarly, bargain. So, he encourages buyers to bargain higher prices. Strictly not true, because bargain means to negotiate a price. This is not the action of making offers. There is no bargaining being done here. It is as people make an offer, other people make an offer. The highest bidder is actually awarded the particular thing that is being sold. Next is auctions are public. We know the word here. Sale of goods conducted by an approved auctioneer. He encourages buyers to bid higher prices and finally names the dash bidder as the buyer of the goods. Which one will fit in here? Smartest, highest, biggest, or strongest? We have to choose one of these four words. Let us look at the answer. Auctions are public sale of goods conducted by an approved auctioneer. He encourages buyers to bid higher prices and finally names the highest. This is the right option as buyer of goods. It is his job to choose the bidder who has offered the highest price for the goods. So auctioneer's role is actually to encourage his buyer to bid higher and higher prices, and the highest bidder who remains at the conclusion of the bidding process is declared the winner, is declared the buyer of goods. Smartest? No, we are not testing smartness here. Smartness typically will mean person with either a clean or tidy appearance or person who is strong intellectually. It is not the biggest because he is not trying to find the biggest buyer. So there may be some confusion between biggest and highest, but biggest is used in terms of large. It is not used in terms of highest, not in terms of money. Strongest. Again, strongest is used about a person who's physically powerful, who's able to lift and carry heavy things, is typically a strongest person. Auctions are public dash. So conducted by dash auctioneer, he encourages buyers to dash higher prices and finally names the dash bidder as the buyer of goods. So we have filled in these 4 sentences, words missing in these 4 sentences already. Now we have to move on to the last one, 5th one. This is called knocking down the goods. For when the bidding ends, the auctioneer dash a small hammer on the table in front of him. He bangs the hammer, he thrashes the hammer, he smashes the hammer, or he hits the hammer. Correct answer is, of course, bangs. Let us look at why. So bangs, this term accurately describes the action of striking with a small hammer. This hammer is incidentally called a gravel on the table to identify or signify the end of auction. It conveys the formal and deliberate action which is associated with auctioneering. Thrashes will not be, because thrashes implies a forceful movement, a violent movement. It is not suitable in context of auction, where the auction is more controlled and formal. It cannot be smashes, because smashes again suggest a very violent or destructive action. It is not appropriate for delicate and formal action of ending an auction. Hits is also not suitable. It is less specific and less formal than bangs. Typically, you bang a hammer. You can theoretically say you hit a hammer, but bangs is actually better. It better captures the ceremonial nature of the auction. So let us look at the next set of questions of the Cloze test. Again, we will look at 5 of these questions which are part of one set. So let us understand the overall context first. The dash of lectures could be enhanced by introducing the lecture with a brief review of work dash. It should also be indicated how the day's lecture dash into the course pattern. A lecture should dash be presented in one unbroken discourse. Unless expressionally interesting, a long lecture strains the dash of a concentrated listening, causing intermittent wandering of attention and loss of continuity in thought. So let us fill in the alphabets here. Let us fill in the words here. Which particular words fit into the overall context of this particular paragraph? Here we are talking about lectures. So these lectures need not be very long. They should be presented in some way where the listening is actually better. So which particular words will fit in better here in context of one? That is our focus. The dash of lectures could be enhanced by introducing the lecture with a brief review of work. So what should fit in here? Condition, effectiveness, efficiency, or interest. Let us look at the answer. So the correct answer is effectiveness. So the effectiveness of lecture could be enhanced by introducing the lecture with a brief review of work. This fits in the overall context much better. So effectiveness actually describes the quality of how well lectures achieve their intended purpose. Improving effectiveness aligns with enhancing the quality of the lecture. Condition will not fit in. This does not fit well with the idea of improving the impact. So condition means we are just reporting something. Effectiveness means we are actually improving something. So effectiveness is much better than condition here. It cannot be efficiency, because efficiency relates to how well something is done with minimal waste. Here we are not talking about waste, therefore it does not fit the overall context of the impact of lectures. Impact of lectures are better conveyed with the word effectiveness. Similarly, it cannot be interest, because although maintaining the interest is important, this particular sentence is focused on improving the overall impact or quality of lecture, which is better captured by effectiveness. Next is question 2. So first, we already know the effectiveness of lectures could be enhanced by introducing the lecture with a brief review of work. The next is what we have to find. Dash, it should also be indicated how the day's lecture. Is it ascending, preceding, reciting, or succeeding? For example, if the word was preceding, the sentence would be something like, the effectiveness of lecture could be enhanced by introducing the lecture with a brief review of work. Preceding, it should also be indicated how the day's lecture dash into the course pattern. So which one is a better choice here? Let us see. The best option is preceding. The word means coming before. It fits in well with the idea of introducing a lecture by reviewing the work that came before it. Ascending is not correct because ascending means moving upward or increasing in rank or degree. It doesn't fit in the context of enhancing or improving a lecture. It cannot be reciting because reciting means repeating loudly or narrating. It doesn't quite fit the context of improving the lecture or connecting it with the course pattern. It cannot be succeeding because this word actually means following or coming after. It doesn't fit as well as preceding because it doesn't imply a review of the previous material. The dash of lecture could be enhanced by introducing the lecture with a brief review of work. It should also be indicated how the day's lecture dash into the course pattern. Is it adds, fits, gets, or lets? Which one of these 4 words will fit in the place of 3? That is what we have to find. So it will be how the day's lecture adds into the course pattern, how the day's lecture fits into the course pattern. This seems to be correct. How the day's lecture gets into the course pattern? No, not really. Because it does not get into a course pattern. It already exists. A course pattern already exists. Is it lets? How the day's lecture lets into the course pattern? Again, it doesn't make grammatical sense. So the correct answer is, of course, fits. It means appropriate or suitable. It cannot be adds because add means increasing or including something. It cannot be get, which means to receive or obtain. Here we're not obtaining anything. It cannot be lets, which means allowing or permitting. Here again it doesn't make sense because you're not letting something come into the course pattern. It is fitting into the course pattern. Next, a lecture should dash be presented in one broken discourse. So we have to find the particular word here in place of 4. Is it continuously, often, randomly, or seldom? You have to choose one of them. Please try. Then we will look at the correct answer. So the correct answer is seldom, which this means not very often or actually rarely. It fits in the context because his sentence is suggesting that lectures are rarely presented in the ideal manner discussed. And this rarity contributes to issues with attention and continuity. It cannot be continuously because continuously means happening without interruption. This means that lectures are frequently enhanced, which does not fit well with the idea of discussing how lectures generally suffer from issues. It cannot be often, which means happening frequently. If the lectures are often enhanced, it means that the lectures are regularly improved by the suggested method. This does not fit the intended critique of the lecture's current state. It cannot be randomly. This means happening without a definite plan or pattern. This would imply that the enhancement of lectures is unpredictable or haphazard. This does not align with the idea of consistent improvement or critique. So the correct answer was seldom. So we have filled in seldom now. And now let us look at the next one. Unless exceptionally interesting, a long lecture strains the dash of a concentrated listening. Is it authority, capacity, comfortability, or reasonability. Which one of them is the right choice? Please try, and then we look at the right answer. For example, if it was capacity, then the sentence would read, unless exceptionally interesting, a long lecture strains the capacity of a concentrated listening. Seems about correct. So the correct answer is, of course, capacity. It refers the ability to do something or amount something can hold. It fits well here because it relates to the audience ability to maintain concentrated listening during the lecture. It cannot be authority because authority means the right or power to take decisions or to give orders. It doesn't fit into here because this is now how lectures affect listening or attention. It cannot be comfortability because this would one the word meaning of this is being comfortable. While comfort might be affected by a long lecture, it doesn't specifically address the ability to focus or maintain attention. That is what is being discussed in this set of sentences forming the paragraph. It cannot also be reasonability. This refers to how reasonable or rational something is. It doesn't fit the context of listening and attention span during lectures. Let us look at the next cloze test now. There are again 5 missing words here. We will look at each one of them in turn. Job performance is dashed by a number of factors. Motivation alone does not lead to increased performance. Ability and technology moderates the relationship between motivation and performance. The higher the levels of ability and motivation, the dash the levels of performance will be. However, increasing motivation beyond an dash level tends to dash a dysfunctional result because it is dashed by an increased level of anxiety. So we have to fill in the first one here. Job performance is dashed by a number of factors. This particular paragraph as a whole is talking about job, and it is talking about job performance. It is talking about motivation and performance. It is talking about increasing motivation beyond a certain level leads to, say, level of anxiety. So we have to fit in the word here in place of one. Which particular word would fit in? If it was, let us say, affected. Job performance is affected by a number of factors. It would actually fit in. Let us look at the answers. Affected is the right one. The word affected means to have an influence or to produce a change in something. In the context of job performance, it suggests that job performance can be altered or influenced by different factors such as motivation, ability, and technology. It cannot be influenced because influence means similar to affected. It is quite similar, but it means to have an impact on something. It does not fit in well with these other sentences. It cannot be affected. Affected means to cause something to happen. This is less appropriate here. It is more commonly used when we are discussing something which is bringing about a change. It cannot be measured because this term refers to quantifying something. It does not fit as well here because the sentences discuss the impact on motivation on performance, not the assessment of it. Let us look at the next one. Job performance is affected by a number of factors. Motivation alone does not lead to increased performance. Ability and technology moderates the relationship between motivation and performance. The higher the levels of ability and motivation, the dash level of performance will be. Will it be higher, larger, lower, or smaller? Suppose we had chosen larger. Then the sentence would read, the higher the levels of ability and motivation, the larger the level of performance will be. It doesn't fit in. Here there is a phrase, higher the level, then the second will also be higher. Higher the level of performance. Hence, a better choice here out of 4 may be higher. So, why do we use higher? This word indicates an increase in quantity or degree. So, we mean to increase the level of ability and motivation, which is being increased here. So the level of performance increases when the motivation increases. So this particular sentence fits in with the higher level of ability and motivation, leading to better performance. Therefore, the word higher seems to be suitable here. Why can't we use larger? We can't use larger because this term, although also implying increase in size or amount, it could actually work if higher wasn't there. So instead of higher, some other word was there. Larger may have been used, but actually between them, higher is a more precise term. Smaller. This term implies a decrease. So this option is inconsistent with context of the passage. Where we are seeing increased level or ability to motivation leads to better performance, not lesser performance, and therefore smaller cannot fit in here. Same applies for lower, because lower also means a decrease. So the job performance is affected by a number of factors. Motivation alone does not lead to increased performance. Ability and technology moderates the relationship between motivation and performance. The higher the level of ability and motivation, the higher the level of performance will be. However, increasing beyond and dash level. So it should be certain, desired, increased, or optimal. There are 4 choices here. Some of these choices are quite near to the actual answer. So if we say increased motivation beyond a certain level, the only thing is there's a word "and" here. Therefore, one of these choices may be a vowel. So it cannot be certain. It cannot be desired because these are not beginning with a vowel. It can only be one of increased or optimal. So which one is a better one? Optimal seems to be better because the next part says if you increase it, it leads to increased level of anxiety. So let us look at it as the correct answer. So correct answer is optimal. This word, it means the best or more effective in this situation. In this context, an optimal level of motivation refers to the ideal amount that leads to positive outcomes without the negative consequences, like increased anxiety. It cannot be certain because certain means specific but doesn't quite fit the idea of threshold beyond which motivation may actually lead to dysfunction rather than any increased performance. It cannot be desired because desired means something which is wished or hoped for. It doesn't fit the context of level of motivation, could lead to negative outcome. Increased, this term means grown or expanded. It doesn't fit well here because the sentence is discussing reaching a level that causes dysfunction, not just increasing motivation. So job performance is affected by a number of factors. Motivation alone does not lead to increased performance. Ability and technology moderates the relationship between motivation and performance. The higher the level of ability and motivation, the dash the level of performance will be. So we said higher here. So higher the level of ability, higher the performance will be. However, increasing motivation beyond an optimal level tends to dash a dysfunctional result. Reduce, introduce, produce, or reduce. Which one will it be in case of 4? So correct answer is produce. This means to bring or cause something. In this context, increasing motivation beyond a certain level causes or brings out a dysfunctional result due to increased anxiety. It fits in logically because we are saying that excessive emotion, excessive motivation can lead to negative outcome like anxiety, which can in turn affect the job performance adversely. It cannot be deduced, which means to infer or reason. It cannot be introduce, which means to bring something into use or present something. It cannot be reduce, because reduce is making something smaller or less. It does not fit into the current context. So, job performance is affected by a number of factors. Motivation alone does not lead to increased performance. Ability and technology moderates the relationship between motivation and performance. The higher the ability and motivation, the higher the levels of performance will be. However, increased motivation beyond an optimal level tends to dash a dysfunctional result, because it is dashed by increased level of anxiety. Is it abandoned, accompanied, affiliated, amalgamated? Abandoned means leaving. But here we are saying that these are actually connected. Dysfunctional result, because of the word because, it is actually connected. Therefore, it cannot be abandoned. It cannot, it can potentially be accompanied, because we are saying it comes along. So because it is accompanied by a level of anxiety, this may be okay. It cannot be affiliated or amalgamated. Let us look at the solution. It is accompanied. This term refers to occur along with something. It fits well because the passage indicates an increased level of anxiety which is coming with excessive motivation. This can lead to dysfunctional results. Abandoned. This term leaves something behind or give up on it. It does not fit the context of describing something that goes hand in hand with the increased level of anxiety. It cannot be affiliated because these terms refer to something which is associated or connected. It does not fit into the context. It cannot be amalgamated, which means to combine or bring. It is not appropriate in the current expression. Look at the next one. Recently, I visited Moscow, a Russian city, dash many memorial, war memorial. There is a huge park in Russia, dash as Peace Park. In the middle of the park, dash a pillar on which the different battles fought by Russians have been mentioned, along with the names and places. As I was standing under a tree, my eyes dash on a young couple who had just been married. I started wondering, dash, they had come to this monument on their wedding day. So, in place of one, what fits better? Is it has, built, with, or erected? So, correct answer is with. With is a proposition that correctly connects Moscow, the city, with many war memorials, indicating the city of Moscow is associated with or has many war memorials. Has. This verb is not suitable here because it does not fit the context of describing the presence of war memorial. It cannot be built because built suggests an action of constructing, not describing the presence of memorials. It cannot be erected. Erected means to construct or rise. But in this context, with is more suitable for describing the presence of memorials in the city. Recently, I visited Moscow, a Russian city of many memorials. There is a huge park in Russia. Dash. Is it called, title, identified, or known? The correct answer is known. It is an adjective that means recognized or familiar to many people. When we say known as a peace park, it means that the park is recognized or referred to as Peace Park. So this sentence suggests that we need a verb or adjective that describes the park in question, and therefore known fits best. Why cannot it be called? This is a verb that means to give a name to something, but it doesn't fit in here when we're describing a park. Typically, you will call something based on pet or a person or something like that, not really an inanimate object like a park. It cannot be title because title is a noun that refers to name of something, like a book or a movie, and it isn't suitable as a verb or adjective in this context. Identified is very similar, but I'll read out what it is reason why it is not the correct option. This is a verb that means to recognize or establish the identity of something. That is not what being discussed here. We are discussing here that there's a big park, and in that park we have a name for it called Peace Park. Next is recently I visited Moscow, a Russian city, dash of many war memorials. There is a huge park in Russia, dash as Peace Park. In the middle of the park, dash stands a pillar on which the different battles fought by Russians have been mentioned, along with the names of the places. As I was standing under a tree, dash on a young couple that has been just married, I started wondering, dash, they had come to this monument on their wedding day. So let us find the correct option. The correct option is stands. This verb suggests that something is physically upright or positioned, but it doesn't fit the context of naming a park. Seen is more appropriate to talk about title of a park or name of a park. It is not appropriate here. Placed, this means the act of putting something somewhere. It does not fit in well of describing a park's title. Located, the term describes where something is situated, but known is better for describing the common name or title of a place. Next one now, see if you can find it. Which is the correct option? Correct option will turn out to be fell. Let us see why. So fell describes the action of one's gaze naturally moving towards something, which fits in well with the context of eyes being drawn to young people. So we had said, as I was standing under a tree, my eyes dash on a young couple. It is fell on a young couple. It cannot be true because it is less common in this context. It is implies attraction, but fell is more idiomatic for describing the movement of one's gaze. It cannot be noticed because notice means becoming aware of something, which is more about recognition than about movement of one's gaze. It cannot be go because go is just not fitting in to describing where the eyes are directed. The last one, I started wondering, dash, they had come to this monument on their wedding day. Is it if, where, about, or why? Correct answer is why. Why is used to inquire about the reason or a purpose. So this will fit in perfectly with the context of wondering why the couple visited the monument on their wedding day. It cannot be if. This word is used for conditional statements, and therefore it does not fit the context of questioning the reason behind an action. Where this word is used for locations and does not fit into the overall context. About, this word indicates a topic of discussion but does not specifically ask for the reason behind the couple's visit. So this is all for today. Thank you.